Weakness does not arrive like a storm. It arrives like dust. Quiet, gradual, almost polite. You wake up one day feeling tired in ways sleep cannot repair, heavy in places no weight should exist, and you cannot point to a single moment where it all went wrong. That is because nothing collapsed. It eroded, grain by grain, choice by choice, comfort by comfort. And you were there the whole time, mistaking safety for progress. You live in an age where everything is softened before it reaches you. Sharp edges are padded. Silence is filled. Hunger is postponed. Pain is numbed before it can speak. Yet inside there is confusion. You have more ease than any man before you, yet less certainty. More access, yet less direction. The body survives, but the spirit thins. This is the modern contradiction: comfort without fulfillment, motion without meaning. In Musashi's time, strength was not assumed. It was guarded, trained daily like a flame that could die if neglected. There was no illusion that sharpness maintained itself. Steel rusts if ignored. The body dulls if unchallenged. The mind weakens if left untested. Ancient men understood this without theory. Their lives demanded it. Somewhere along the way, you traded sharpness for safety. You did not announce it. No ceremony marked the exchange. It happened quietly, disguised as progress. Softer paths, easier answers, fewer risks. The danger is not that weakness grows. The danger is that you do not feel it happening. By the time you notice, the edge is already gone. This is not an accusation. It is a revelation. Weakness feels invisible until it is too late because it grows in silence. And silence, when misused, can rot instead of refine. Comfort has become a god that no one names, yet everyone obeys. It dictates your schedule, your diet, your conversations, your ambitions. Anything that threatens discomfort is labeled unhealthy, unnecessary, or extreme. Slowly, without resistance, character steps aside and lets comfort take the throne. The exchange feels harmless. After all, nothing bad happens immediately, but ease dissolves discipline the way warm water dissolves salt. Slowly, then completely. You stop doing what is difficult, not because you cannot, but because you no longer see the point. Why struggle when convenience is praised as intelligence? Why endure when avoidance is framed as balance? This is how the spine bends without breaking. Musashi rejected excess, not because he hated pleasure, but because he understood its cost. Every unnecessary softness steals attention from what matters. Every convenience borrowed weakens the muscles of will. Ancient hardship was not romantic. It was clarifying. Modern insulation, by contrast, numbs until resistance feels foreign. You were told struggle is optional now, that growth should be gentle, painless, endlessly affirming. But the body forgets resistance when it is never asked to endure. The mind forgets patience when every desire is answered immediately. Comfort teaches you to expect life to adapt to you, instead of forging yourself to meet life. This is the silent enemy. It does not attack. It invites, and once character is replaced, rebuilding it feels cruel. But cruelty is not the truth. Truth is simply unsoftened. You did not build who you are. You assembled it, piece by piece, borrowed from expectations, applause, roles, and labels that felt safer than solitude. Identity became something you wore instead of something you forged. It worked until pressure arrived. Borrowed structures always collapse when weight is applied. Modern men are taught to curate themselves, to be impressive, agreeable, visible. Masks multiply. The core weakens. You learn how to perform strength without possessing it, how to speak confidence without standing on anything solid. Approval becomes oxygen. Without it, panic follows. Musashi abandoned titles because he saw how they chained the spirit. Schools, ranks, status, these things define you before you have defined yourself. Strength borrowed from position disappears when the position is removed. Strength earned alone does not ask permission to exist. Standing without a name terrifies most men. Who are you when no role protects you, when no label explains you? This fear drives men back into systems that promise identity in exchange for obedience. But borrowed identity collapses under pressure because it was never yours to begin with. Musashi chose anonymity because it forced honesty. No reputation to defend, no image to maintain, only action and consequence, only truth. And in that truth, real strength has room to grow. The source of weakness is not your body. It is the mind that was never trained to stand still. You were taught to consume, react, scroll, compare, and escape, but never to command your attention. Distraction is praised as stimulation. Noise is mistaken for vitality. Yet the mind grows restless, scattered, exhausted. Musashi treated clarity as survival. Focus was not a productivity tool. It was a weapon. Ancient discipline demanded long periods of silence, repetition, and boredom. Modern life recoils from these conditions, calling them inefficient. But untrained thoughts drain the body faster than labor ever could. When the mind chases everything, it owns nothing. Stimulation feels like strength because it excites you, but excitement fades quickly. Strength remains. Most men are overstimulated and under. Their energy leaks in every direction, leaving nothing solid behind. This is not shame. It is diagnosis. Weakness feels permanent only because you were never taught how to train what matters most. The mind, once disciplined, stops fighting itself, and when inner noise quiets, strength returns not loudly, but decisively. You stay busy to avoid stillness, productive to avoid honesty, entertained to avoid reflection. Avoidance wears many respectable disguises, but the mirror waits patiently. It does not chase. It does not accuse. It simply reflects what you have become. Musashi spent long periods alone, not because he enjoyed isolation, but because solitude removes lies. Without noise, excuses weaken. Without witnesses, performance dies. The mirror becomes the first battlefield. Most men flee before the fight begins, calling it self-care or balance. Looking directly at yourself requires courage because you may not like what you see. Weakness is often not inability, but refusal. Refusal to confront habits, refusal to admit drift, refusal to accept responsibility for one's own decay. Musashi faced the mirror daily, brutally, without sentiment, and in that confrontation, transformation became possible. You cannot correct what you refuse to see. The mirror is not cruel. It is precise. Real discipline does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It exists in private, sustained by loyalty to an inner code. Musashi trained when no one was watching, because strength that requires applause is not strength that is performance. Modern self-improvement is loud, measured, shared. It mistakes visibility for progress. Image replaces integrity, but unseen effort builds something deeper. It builds trust with yourself, and that trust becomes unbreakable. Self-command is lonely. No one thanks you for restraint. No one celebrates consistency. Yet this loneliness is clean. It sharpens resolve. Discipline without witnesses teaches you that your word to yourself matters. Musashi understood that integrity is what remains when nothing is enforced. When no one is watching, who are you? The answer to that question defines your strength more than any external achievement. Pain was never your enemy. It was instruction. Ancient men listened to it. Modern life numbs it. Every discomfort is treated as a malfunction instead of a message. Yet pain reveals what comfort hides. Weak joints, weak habits, weak resolve. Musashi learned through hardship and defeat. Loss sharpened him. Difficulty refined him. Voluntary pain builds strength because it is chosen. Accidental suffering breaks men because it arrives uninvited. When you avoid all pain, you avoid growth. Strength is formed where resistance exists. Chosen difficulty teaches discipline, patience, humility. It reminds you that you are alive and capable of adaptation. Pain ignored returns louder. Pain listened to transforms. The teacher waits until you are ready to learn. The real enemy was never outside you. Musashi knew this. Victory over others means nothing without inner order. Conquering the world fails when the self remains fractured. Strength is not aggression. It is alignment. Thought, action, and principle moving as one. When inner conflict resolves, confidence becomes quiet. There is no need to prove, only to move. Overcoming yourself is not a single event. It is lifelong, a daily return to discipline, clarity, and restraint. The reward is not applause. It is peace without weakness. This is not motivation. It is awakening. You feel weaker because you drifted from your center. The path back is narrow, silent, and demanding. Walk it anyway.